y'all, and welcome to another video from Igne. This is going to be a little bit different, not so much of it is a informative guide like I usually do, more than a telling you the reasoning why we have decided not to do the Lost Island Barron. But before we get into that, let me get into the usual semantics. I said before in the last video that there is a possibility of having a sponsor very, very soon. This sponsor is releasing, it works a lot like Google or Apple or Amazon or anything like that, to where it is a sideline APK application process of the game, to where you can get a discount on the purchases that you make in game. Totally, absolutely fine. It's just like using Amazon or anything else like that. When this launches, they'll be giving you from 5 to 20% cash back on any purchase that you make in game, up to 20%. So with that also being said, as we continue going forward with releasing more content, and finally we'll get any monetization from YouTube, when that happens, for the first 3 months of any monetary gain that I get, for people that are both in my Discord and are subscribed, they will be getting 100% of everything that I get, and I'll give it away in a drawing. I'm going to try to shoot for bi-weekly, but depending on what the sponsors are or what the payout rate is, or when they do it, it might be a monthly draw. But regardless, 100% for the first 3 months will be given in a drawing to people in my Discord and subscribe on YouTube. After that, I'll be giving 25% every month to one lucky person that's subscribed and in my Discord. So invite your friends, and we'll see where this thing goes. Now, on top of that, in the description below, there will be a Discord link. This is the link to my Discord. This is used as a community tool. We have many very knowledgeable people that are in there that are happy to answer your questions. With that being said, as it is a community tool, there's absolutely no bashing, bullying, or anything like that, or else you're going to be immediately removed from the room. Alright, so we'll get right into it. Now, unfortunately, I couldn't go through to show you exactly because the registration for the Barron Lost Island has ended. But I'll start with the smaller reasons as to why we as an alliance voted not to do Barron Island, which may come as a surprise to some of you all, because I am a content creator, especially when there's something new that comes out. It's kind of it's a way to be able to get more views, especially if nobody else has released anything on it or very little information. A lot of the information out there now, especially with Bruce now leaving, unfortunately, there's not very many good, solid content creators out there for various languages. But what I have to do is I have to look after my alliance first. So I view my alliance as a family. We've grown very close to each other over the years. There's some of us that have been there with me since the very beginning of the game. But I also have to look at the fact that my alliance is also a 24/7 active alliance. And that was one of the things that we're looking at. But first we'll get into one of the smaller reasons as to why we decided not to do Barron Island. So the first thing is that after the registration period, the officers and R5 of each alliance can designate one camp leader, which is between the three alliances. Now, the time frame in which you have to do that is before you even get onto the island, which I think is not a great idea, because that makes it to where that one camp leader, which is locked in and set, dictates what happens with all three alliances within their camp for the entire island. Now, what this infers to is they can, dictate, well, we'll get into that a little bit, but they can dictate, like, even when your alliance does things, what they can do, etc., which I don't think is right by any means. But my biggest problem with it, and our biggest problem with it, is the fact of it's done right after registration, before you even get into the island. So you don't even get the chance to really see what they are all about. You don't get to see how they operate, how they fight, how they do anything. And here's the other thing too, is if you got 2 alliances on one time zone and then another that's on another, that one alliance could be left doing absolutely nothing the entire island. And as the rewards for Barren Island are based on what your contribution is within your camp, that could be very problematic for some alliances that, might not even be able to do anything. And so you might be asking, why might they not be able to do anything? Well, the camp leader sets 1 8-hour block per at the beginning that essentially nobody can build any towers. None of your buildings could be taken. You can't attack any hills. You're essentially locked out for 8 hours. Now that poses probably one of the biggest problems for us as a 24-hour alliance, because at any given 8-hour block time of the day, that's some of our alliance that wouldn't be able to do anything. Now, and then you look at the fact that if, say, you have 2 Chinese alliances and then you have one, American mixed alliance like we have, if they get camp leader, obviously they're going to pick their time, which is very bad for anybody that's in America, because you're not going to be able to do anything. And this has been one of the biggest complaints throughout the community and such was about this. And it's not a very good way to really have things be running. And you, especially with like a 24/7 alliance like ours, it runs into the possibility of losing members, because why would you want to play a game where you literally can't do anything but sit near a hill all day during your most active time? And even for those that are active, for the first couple of weeks, you're not doing anything but going after buildings and stuff like that. You're still completely under the control of whatever this one camp leader is. So it makes it for not very fun gameplay at all. So then the argument would be raised, well, what about the rewards? They got new season ends, they got, all these rewards and everything. Here's my 2 biggest problems with that. For one, they made it into a completely pay-to-win event. Why do you say that? You are not even guaranteed one of the new season ends until you have bought 300 eggs and hatched them. 300 eggs, you can do up the math on that. That's anywhere from about $150 to $200 to be able to get just to be able to get 300 eggs. So that right now, right there, they're forcing you, and that's just to get 1 copy. That's not even a dupe. That's just to get 1 copy. Now, the rewards, even as far as free to play, the problem with them is that they are scaled by what each faction of the camp does. So again, if your alliance is cut out to where you're not able to do anything, you're not going to get any of the rewards really. So it's very detrimental in the way that they have scaled things and such. These were the main reasons why we decided not to do Barron. Now, the things that they changed that we do like, and thankfully they're being applied to the regular island as well, are 0, for one. It leaves you more room to be able to openly be able to allow people in during convocation and such, because R0 basically eliminates them from being able to hit people, hit towers, hit buildings. They're basically confined within our initial area, which is good. They can't talk in the season chat and they can't talk in the alliance chat. They can only send mails directly to the R5 or the officer R4s. They cannot see any of the mails, like the mass mails sent out by the R5 or officer R4s. So they basically cut down to direct line of communication with the officers in R5 to be able to see whether, they might be able to have the possibility of getting out of R0. So that is by far the best change that they made. Now, the other great change that they made which their wording is absolutely terrible on. Actually, I think I can pull those up. Let me go take a look. Okay, yeah, so 38 days, which is good. I don't really care about the opening, all that. Oh yeah, Mud Skipper is reduced down to 0 stamina to do a skipper, which is good. Season calendar, now you can put things like on a calendar that, hey, we're gonna go fight for the tree this day or whatever. That's great. Let's see. Yeah, R0, which I've already talked about it. Island settlement rewards, we have no idea what that is. Now, oh yeah, this is what I was looking at. So, new mechanism to force enemies to teleport in your alliance territories. If an enemy is within your territory, he or she will be teleported to his/her initial place by force. So essentially, what that means is that when one of the most annoying things about Island was when you were trying to push and say they had the Wonder of the Residence or whatever that would give them port rights within that area. While you're building the tower, they can essentially port right in and stay there. Now, the biggest annoyance was that even if you do win and manage to take your tower, that they would still be right there within your tower, and then if they did it right, you wouldn't have any way to be able to port closer, to be able to then attack their next tower or building or whatever. And that was a very aggravating factor because it just increased the distance to where you were fighting. Now, with this update, what it does, once you have constructed that tower, if they are within your tower limits, or say you take the building and they're within that building limits, it automatically force teleports them back to their initial place. So that's a very good change. That's something that I think that they should have done for quite a while. That will make definitely fighting a little more easier, but also a little more intricate at the same time. So those are good changes. But the problem is that we have is those changes apply to normal Island as well. So with all of the bad rap that is being given about Barren Island and the fact that it would be so restricting to our alliance, we put it to vote. And our vote was not to go to Barren Island. Until the devs decide to change some of these core mistakes that they made with this island, we probably won't. But just like the very first regular island, before the end of even the very first island, they were making massive changes that actually improved the game. Do I necessarily agree with all the things that they've changed to now? No, but it is a manageable and playable game. Where in the beginning, it really wasn't. Not until they made the first initial changes. Honestly, I personally wish that they would have left the island to what the first initial changes were. But I digress. I'm kind of rambling on about something that's not the point of this video. So, like I said, with that is why I will not be releasing any Barren content until they make an update. But I will be making other videos, and if you have any questions or you have anything that you'd like me to cover, feel free to drop it in the comment section down below, or the better chance is to join our Discord, and I have a special room in there that's called video requests, and you can request literally anything that you want covered in there, and I will cover it if I can make a video of it. So with that being said, Eggney is out. Thanks y'all for watching.